The first random question is: has either of you seen the show Good Time, the new animated version of Good Time?
So I watched the trailer for both. Um, it is a very big difference.
Big difference.
I would say even the humor, or it's just I think the original was more like family oriented, and this one out like for me, I would not let my kids watch this. Uh, the humor is darker, a little darker. Um, but I guess it's just trying to go more modern. I think I would have liked enjoyed the classic one better, but
So, did you watch any of the episodes?
I watched one where the original, like the classic one. I don't know what the name of the episode is, but the little boy was talking to a lady that was gonna be like his future bus driver.
Hmm.
I think it was. I don't know what episode that is, but he
They had
was.
a lot of episodes of that show back in the day. They would do show after show after show. So there's so many of them.
But just I was kind of doing it more just to see like the difference between the sense of humor. And then when I watched the trailer for the newer version, the animated, it was just like, whoa.
My random question is today: have you seen the new Good Times show, the animated version, and what do you think of it? Katie has already given her review. Now, Clint, take the stage and tell us what you think.
Oh, I thought you Jamel was going to tell about.
Oh, so Jamel's gonna have your say. Okay, I'll switch over to Jamel then.
I can go ahead with it, no problem. I thought it was Jamel's turn. That's why.
I will be honest with you. I just saw just not even 10 seconds of it and I flipped it away.
Mm.
10
It
seconds.
just
You only lasted 10
I
seconds.
only lasted 10 seconds because to me it just I feel like it's so stereotypical that you got to that people don't realize that this is what everyone around us, especially in other countries, this is what they think how people really are, and it's not. So we automatically, when you introduce yourself to someone, they're automatically going to judge you and look you up and down a certain way just because of what they saw on TV before they even get to know you. They're already dismissing you. So I just couldn't because to me it's just I felt like they were giving the original actual TV show Good Times a bad name. So just couldn't.
So now, Clint, do you want to have a few words for our people?
Sure,
Because I've got
sure.
a lot that I'm saving up to say.
Mhm. Well, to be honest, when I heard about they were about to release a Good Time animated series, I was really excited about it because I wanted to see that they take the family from out of the project. I wanted to see them elevate them. It's you know what I mean? Because the original Good Times, the family they never left the project. So I was expecting them to do a series, animated series, which would have been more funny to see JJ in cartoon and all that. And I was expecting them to go further with it. But when I watched it, I look at one episode and what they did is basically it based on the father grandson is the next generation, and they make them look really lower than lower. If you know what I'm trying to say. For
Oh
example,
yeah, and,
the
and
father he was using a Me Too phone. A meet, you know, a forward you can't even send like picture text. You can't even make video calls. This is 2024. And even a crackhead could afford an iPhone. What the hell is going on? Why they make the black family look like that? He can even afford a B2 phone. So I was in total umbrage with that. I had so much to say about that. And then
this has
And
been
there was
just
a scene that pissed me off when the dad he decided to jump out of the shower naked. And you see the soap sud just swinging thing left and right. The soap sud was blood. But you see this thing swinging. it's swinging, and the daughter was like, "Oh God!" I was like, "This they make the family more low class than the original. I rather watch the original." This was like a
And
cross between Family Guy and Proud. It's like Proud Family gone hood. The
Yeah.
Proud Family animated series. It was like a bit like that, but it gone totally into the Family Guy genre. You
Yeah.
seen the baby selling crack.
Yes.
This is something that I wouldn't. Now I was in total umbrage with when I saw this. It shows no respect whatsoever, and I won't support it. I think they should cancel it and redo over a Good Times with the original family that's coming out of the hood.
I
Okay.
agree. I agree because I am a kid from the projects. So I know how it really was and how it still really is. And that's why I said, nah, this is not relatable to me. Nah, there's a lot more to go on than what people think. And they're just throwing this in there just to trying to give it a little twist. And like I said, if you actually seen the actual real Good Times from back in the day, they were a family in the hood, in the projects, but they carried themselves a certain way. And
Yep.
mom would not have anything less. Dad would not have anything less. If he had to go out and get 3, 4 jobs to make things happen, that's what he was gonna do, you know. And they wouldn't let none of that mess be in the house. So when I saw that, just that little 10 seconds, I was just like, nah, nope, nope.
Yeah,
Mm-mm.
and that's the thing that I want to say is that now, especially when we see things like that, it drives home for me the reason why we're doing this. It drives home for me the reason why the Clint Initiative podcast exists. Not just to give brown people opportunities, but also to create content that we can enjoy. Everything that we produce is not meant to elevate the culture, but characters in shows have arcs. They start somewhere, and then at the end, they arrive at a different destination. The original show, like you were saying, Clint, they almost got out of the projects, but of course, something happened to drag them back in.
Right.
Now, with that show, the whole aesthetic of it is wrong. I don't think that if you had a thinking person of color as the producer of that show, as the person making the final decisions, if it wasn't Norman Lee, if it wasn't Seth MacFarlane, if a person of color was making the final decisions as to what would air, I would assume that they would not have the father in the shower singing the original theme song with a cockroach.
I have something to add to what you're
A
just saying there.
cockroach. A cockroach.
I did not see that part.
I
That's,
was
Yeah, he was singing with the
that's
cockroach.
I
But
was so offended by that. Just that one
Paul,
thing, and I almost turned it off.
Paul, do, do you know who was the executive producer of that? Who gave the okay to that
No, I know
show?
who one of the executive producers was. I know that Steph Curry was involved.
Steph Curry. And I think he should be in public shame. He should hang his head in ignominy for that, for
No,
giving him the
but
okay, for supporting that shit. Forgive my language.
if you take a look at Netflix is worldwide. And so worldwide, people look at that show, and one of the people who was making the show was saying, it's satire. You just don't get it. I don't think that person really knows what satire means. That's not satire. That's an ill-fated attempt to say something about our culture and about how they want our culture to be perceived. Some people may say it's not that serious, it's just satire. Well, satire takes what is real and then exaggerates it in a way where it becomes unreal. one person in the comment section on Facebook was saying, I know people just like the people on that show. And I said, well, wait a minute. How many drug dealing babies do you know? And babies driving around having shootouts. How many do you know?
And
Oh,
how many people how many people they know they're singing with the roaches in the shower?
But
Ding, 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 ding.
but even though there are people who in the hood like that, I don't think they should use I'm not just talking on behalf of Black people, I'm talking on behalf of Hispanic, Asian. We shouldn't, due to the fact that in the times that we're living in now, we shouldn't highlight certain types of race or ethnicity in a negative way in a platform like that, because people, when they look at that, especially young kids who growing up, look at that, they expect a African American person, that's how they live. They think that they're going to think a Hispanic person, they live like that. They screw up, you know.
Clint, it doesn't have to be kids. It could be adults that see that on TV, and that's automatically they're going to think that's how you are, and then they want to stay far away. They want to stay far away because they automatically assume, oh, that's how they really are, and this is how they're bad people. No.
Just like when I saw a little piece of Family Guy, what comes to my this don't come to my head. I don't, you know. People, I wouldn't do it to me. I wouldn't think like all white people are dumb.
But Family Guy, and then we're gonna go ahead and move on because we could probably spend the entire hour.
Because there's so much to say about that.
Right. But with Family Guy, what matters with that show is that we see so many shows like Family Guy. The representation of the culture depicted in Family Guy is everywhere on our TV screens. Mm-hmm. So they can do a Family Guy, and it is satire. It is an exaggeration of what is there that we see all the time. With the new Good Times, you know, for example, Lopez versus Lopez, George Lopez, a brown person doing the show, the only one on the air. So if they were to do an animated series of that show like they did with Good Times, it's insulting because you're not really doing satire, because there's not enough representation for satire to work. And that's the problem with the new Good Times. There's not enough representation in the greater society for it to be taken as satire. It's taken as the way things are, the way we are. It represents us worldwide. And yeah, it needs to be removed. Netflix needs to remove it. But we need to make sure it doesn't get a second season by not watching it. I watched the first Wait a minute.
I agree with you, Paul.
First episode, just one episode.
I didn't watch, like I told you, 10 seconds, and I was good. I wanted
to see it. I was all for a Good Time animated series, but you know, I wouldn't have a problem with it as much if they didn't call it. It could have been a different show all by itself. Shouldn't class it with Good Times.
I've heard that cop out. Even if it was called something else. Even if
it's called something else, I still wouldn't watch it. But I mean, it kind of gives the original a bad rep.
No, it is a poor representation of people of color when there are not enough acceptable representations being presented in the greater culture. And it basically should not exist.
That's true. I agree with you with that.
Put it this way. It basically showed how certain people are and how they react in the environment that they're put in, which is why it's called a project. A project is a project because they implement certain things in the project to see how people will react. That's why it's called the projects.
Well, let's move on from this because, like I said, we could spend the entire hour talking about this. And trust me,
and literally, the strong survive in the projects. I'll just put it that way.